I'm Ronnie Summers. I'm the CEO of the Palmetto Agribusiness Council. Essentially, we advocate for agriculture, forestry, in rural South Carolina. I want to point out the scope of forestry. $23 billion annual impact on the state, employs over 100,000 individuals. The labor income generated by this group exceeds $5.5 billion. There's 12.8 million acres of forest land in South Carolina. 64,000 forest landowners that own at least 10 acres or more in South Carolina. I'm going to speak to you, time allowing, from both a business and a personal perspective because I own farmland myself and timberland. South Carolina Forestry Commission provides so many services and resources, I cannot address them all, okay? One of the things that amazes me about them, though, is the collaborative effort we see from this group. They work very closely with the Department of Ag, South Carolina Farm Bureau, Palmetto Agribusiness Council, and especially the Forestry Association of South Carolina. It's all focused on making the very best out of the South Carolina forestry industry. I'm going to reduce down a couple things. The first observation I have from a business perspective is this is the entity, the agency that's responsible for forest economic development. In the last 2 years, they've generated almost $500 million in new investment and expansion of existing businesses. Huge for our industry. They manage the state forest. I've had the privilege of touring Manchester State Forest and Harbison State Forest with staff. If you've not done it, I encourage you to do just that. It's a spectacular visit. Data compilation and analysis. If we need data about forestry, this is the agency that provides it. They provide information on acreage, inventories, mapping, all this necessary for us to make sure they're as strong as they possibly can be. Forest management's provided. They provide cost-sharing programs, stewardship programs, seedling acquisition. They assist in fire break plowing. They assist in prescribed burns and even carbon mitigation, which is an ongoing process of learning that side of it. Enforcement activities. They've got 42 sworn officers that handle approximately 430 investigations per year. This is things like burnings that were not reported appropriately, theft of timber. Why is this agency so important? Because it is important to the state. One, what I observe is spectacular leadership. From the state forester right on down, they work in unison together. There's a team effort that I observe. They work to make them the very best they can be. Financial responsibility. It's uncanny how they evaluate how they're spending money. Strong. Efficiency, not duplicative. They don't duplicate things. They're looking for ways to streamline. Very, very important, okay? Listen to the mission. Protect, promote, and enhance South Carolina's forests for the benefits of all. We can check that box. They're good there. Listen to the vision. Healthy forests, resilient communities, impeccable service. We can check that box.
I am Cam Crawford. I'm president of the Forestry Association of South Carolina, and we are partners with the Forestry Commission. I want to give you just a little bit of history about this. When the South Carolina Forestry Commission was established by the General Assembly in 1927, our forests were nearly depleted. The legislature's priorities for this agency were to protect the forests, to promote the benefits of forest management, and to monitor the condition of the forest. Creation of the Forestry Commission stands as one of the most important conservation and business decisions in the state's history because today, South Carolina has 12.9 million acres of forest land that provides the raw material for the state's $23 billion forest industry. The Forestry Association, which represents the wood and paper products industry, including timberland owners, is proud to partner with the Commission. We appreciate all that the agency does, including protecting our citizens and forests from wildfires, assisting landowners and industry after natural disasters, providing services to timberland owners, promoting best management practices for the harvesting of timber, and working with the Department of Commerce in recruiting forest product manufacturers to South Carolina. In addition, we work with the Commission to educate students and teachers about forestry in South Carolina. In closing, South Carolina has dedicated public servants at the Forestry Commission, including State Forester and Agency Director Scott Phillips, Dr. Walt McPhail, Chairman of the Board of Commissioners, who leads a board with the top-notch professionals that are active in the forest community.
Really what I wanted to talk about is we rely very heavily on the South Carolina Forestry Commission. Programs that they do benefit all of our members. I'll talk a little bit about a couple of them. One of them is management advice. All of our members, they will call the Forestry Commission up. A forester will come out there and give them management advice. It could be insects, disease problems they have on their property. It could be a landowner wanting to know when he needs to thin, when he needs to harvest their timber. And they have foresters that can come out there and give our members and landowners advice for that. Another big one is cost share assistance with the Forest Renewal Program with the South Carolina Forestry Commission is very, very beneficial for members and all landowners in our state. Reforestation costs are going up every year based off of multiple different things. This cost share is very beneficial for landowners to reforest their property and to make sure that we have forest land in futures to come. Another thing is wildlife protection. A lot of our members and landowners, they invest in forest land for investment purposes and retirement. The 10-year yearly average of wildfires in our state's 1,466 wildfires. You don't hear a lot in the news about that, and that's because of the fire suppression from the South Carolina Forestry Commission. And our members, you know, they could have a wildfire come through their property and destroy their retirement in an instant. And just the promptness of fighting those fires is very, very beneficial to landowners and members of our group. My day-to-day job, I'm an area wood procurement manager for a paper mill in Charleston. So one of the things that we look at from an industry standpoint is we want to make sure all of our wood and fiber is sourced legally and sustainably. When the South Carolina Forestry Commission, we have guidelines, South Carolina Best Management Practices, and they have foresters at the commission who go out and check logging jobs to ensure those logging jobs and the wood fiber from those logging jobs are sustainably and legally sourced. In closing, on behalf of the South Carolina Tree Farm, I just want to say that Scott Phillips and all the employees of the South Carolina Forestry Commission do an outstanding job.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Jason Pope, I do serve as the fire chief of Fairfield County, which is just the county north of here. We are a county-wide fire service. We depend mostly on volunteer firefighters. We cover 700 square miles, all the unincorporated areas of Fairfield County. Our mission is to protect our citizens and those passing through from the dangers of fire. And our equipment, of course, is designed primarily to protect people, structures, and equipment. Last year, 2022, we responded to over 1,250 calls for service in our county. And of those, 110 were outside wood and brush fires. Of the 110, 31 of those are what we were to call a wildland fire situation. We do have some four-wheel drive vehicles that can go off-road, but when we have these large woods fires in remote areas, we have to call in for help. And when the fire department calls somebody for help, it's a good thing, but we call on our friends at the Forestry Commission. And the Forestry Commission has firefighters too, as you know. They don't spray water like we do, right? But they operate bulldozers and fire plows, and they respond to our county on a regular basis, and they help to isolate and cut off the fuel and therefore extinguish the fire. So for at least 31 times last year, we were on scenes together, emergency scenes in dangerous situations with our fire service personnel along with the Forestry Commission. What I can tell you is the cooperation and the support could not be any better. The Forestry Commission firefighters that respond to our county on a regular basis, we know most of them on a first-name basis. We work very well with these personnel. Back in March of 2018, I was actually new in the job. We responded to a series of brush fires on Highway 215 South in the Jenkinsville community. And when we got there, we very quickly realized it was escalating very fast. And so we called on our friends at the Forestry Commission. Over a 4-hour period, we had 30 personnel on scene from a neighboring county as well, in Newberry County. Just on the county fire side, we had 15 pieces of apparatus on scene. The Forestry Commission responded. They sent 3 dozers with fire plows and 1 supervisor. The supervisor joined me in our command post. We developed an action plan. His job was to take care of the dozer operators, and my job was to protect structures. All total, there were 20 different fires reported in that 4-hour period and consumed over 100 acres. The Forestry Commission alone plowed 11 different fires totaling 85 acres. And I'm thankful to report that no one was injured and no structures were damaged, and everybody went home safe at the end of the day. So in conclusion, I'm very excited and grateful for the support that we have from our Forestry Commission. And they are a response partner for us. We could not do it without them, and I'm just glad to call them friends. Thank you.